Name, what's in a name? Come to find out a lot.
You're listening to That Music Podcast with Bryson Tarbett, the curriculum designer and educational consultant behind That Music Teacher and the Elementary Music Summit. Each week, Bryson and his guests will dive into the reality of being an elementary music teacher and how music can truly be transformative in the lives of the students you serve. Show notes and resources mentioned in this episode can be found at thatmusicteacher.com.
I remember my first year of teaching, and I walked in and I didn't know a single one of my students' names. And as an elementary music teacher, we have hundreds. And let's be honest, there's so much to names, about just giving someone an identity and helping them just feel like a place in your classroom. But also there's like a logistical side of just classroom management without names is really, really hard. So today we're going to talk a little bit about both of those reasons why it's important for us to learn the names of our students as teachers, but also some practical strategies, 5 of them actually, to actually do that. Because once you learn student names, classroom management is easier, building relationships is a lot easier. And until you do that, it's really tricky to do any of those things. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So before we get any farther, I want to be incredibly clear that it is so important for us to know the names of our students, to pronounce them correctly, to remember them. It's one of those things that honestly, I would pause my curriculum for a month if I needed to learn names, because I think it's just going to be that much. We're going to get so much farther down the road in our curriculum having built that relationship, having my students understand that I care about them enough to do that. So like, let's, I hope we're all in agreement that names, we're not just making kids names up. We're not giving them nicknames if they don't ask for one. We're going to try our hardest to remember their names. And when we don't, be honest about it. Just be like, hey, I'm so sorry. I forgot your name. Can you remind me? Show that we're trying and try. So let's go into 5 practical ways to learn and remember student names. The first strategy I have for you is actually, I think, kind of easy depending on what your school software looks like. And that's to do some sort of seating chart with pictures of their faces. I know for me, my school district, we always used Progress Book, and they had that capability kind of baked into it. And it would actually pull in their school pictures from last year. So I only needed to essentially find pictures of any new students and the kindergartners. So by doing that, I was able to really make a connection from name to face. I was able to kind of understand, all right, well, Johnny is going to be in this area when we're in this zone, this is where Johnny's going to be sitting, and things like that. I think that is a really, really important, really simple way actually to start learning our student names. Now, I'll be honest, I rarely did seating charts beyond the first month or so of school. For me, it was just too much for me to juggle, and I had other classroom management mechanisms in for most of my classes that they didn't need assigned seats, and that was fine. But if you're someone that wants to assign seats the whole year, especially giving them a home base, go for it. But I think using a seating chart with faces is great. And I will say, now that I'm kind of in the world of subbing again, having seating charts with faces is really helpful for your subs as well. So here's your actionable tip for strategy 1. Plan some time in your first week to create a seating chart, or access one if it already exists, right? So sometimes you might be able to log into your software. If your school software doesn't have anything like that, there's a great iPad app called Idocio. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's pretty good. I bought that my first year of teaching, and I've used it kind of nonstop since. Strategy 2 is a little bit more upkeep, or kind of setup, I guess. But this is something that I did my first year with all of my students, and then I continued every year with kindergarten, which is name tags. I think for me, I'm such a visual learner. Being able to look at Susie and see Susie's face and her name was really helpful for me. I did the first few lessons. I would do that. I would have the students wear their name tags, and I think it was really helpful because I could call them by their name even though I didn't know their name, because it was literally right in front of it, even when we were up and moving, doing a game or things like that. So there are different types. Obviously, having something on a lanyard, having just a sticker. And here are some tips. So first of all, reach out to the classroom teachers and just, first of all, do they already have name tags? I know a lot of my kindergarten teachers, especially the first few weeks of school, or even first few days, that they would have name tags that they already had made that they could just wear to my class. And I'm not saying make them create all of their name tags for everyone, but if they already have them, don't reinvent the wheel. And really, it could be as simple as creating a thing and like printing them out on labels so that you could just very quickly go boom, 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 and really simplify it. But again, giving you that visual cue. So here's your actionable tip. Decide on what name tags you're going to use, and have some materials ready. So if you need to find some labels, if you need to find some pretty, if you want to go crazy and make some really pretty ones, whatever you want to do it. Make a plan, make it happen so that you can have some name tags at the beginning of the year. Obviously, name games are great. I use a lot of name games at the beginning of the year. One, because they tend to be kind of fun, and also a great way for me to get to know them to get to know the other people in their class, and kind of remind us who we are. So one that I use a lot is jump in, jump out, turn yourself about, jump in, jump out, introduce yourself. My name's Mr. Tarbit, and they say, yeah, and I like music, yeah, and I'm gonna like it, yeah, for the rest of my life. And they say, for the rest of his life. Boom, that's it. That's the whole thing. It just kind of goes around the circle. You need a little bit of setup on that one, but I've used that one third through sixth grade, honestly. Sixth grade, it gets a little bit weird. But honestly, at that point, they're basically fifth graders anyway. So that's a great one. Another one is Hickety Pickety Bumblebee. Won't you say your name for me? My name is Mr. Tarbit. His name is Mr. Tarbit. What's cool about that one is you can change it. Hickety Pickety Bumblebee. Won't you sing your name for me? My name is Mr. Tarbit. His name is Mr. Tarbit. Or whisper, his name is Mr. His name. What is my name? His name is Mr. Tarbit. Whatever, right? So you can kind of throw in some of those four voices review if you need to. And then another one that's great and that's a lot of fun to get them up moving is bounce high, bounce low, bounce the ball to Shiloh. Bounce high, bounce low, bounce the ball to Jackson. Right, you're kind of bouncing the ball. It's a steady beat. And then when you say the name, they sing the name of the person in the circle and they get to know their name. That's great. So name games are great because they're low pressure. They can keep the fun. And they're just kind of great ways to get started for the year. So here's your action item. Choose 1 to 2 simple name games to incorporate into your first few music classes. Honestly, if you just Google fifth grade music class name games, third grade music class name games, whatever, you're going to find a bunch of blog posts, all different kinds of things, to kind of supplement the ones that I've shared. Strategy 4 is very simple, and that is a direct introduction activity. So that could be as simple as we just did a game or something, and we're kind of, the energy is really high, we need to bring it down. So we sit down in the circle and we say, all right, I want you to remind me of your name, or tell me your name if you don't write it. And then tell us something, your favorite musical instrument or whatever. You go around the circle. My name is Johnny. I like the tuba or whatever. What I will say, be careful about this. It's very easy to get into tell me your name and what's the favorite part of your summer. And just kind of be aware of the student population that you see, because sometimes, especially if you're in a population that's experienced a lot of trauma, they didn't really have great summers, or they didn't get to do a lot of the other big things that some of their classmates might have. So just be aware of that so that it's not a surprise, and try to stick to questions that are a little bit more open for everyone, that doesn't kind of create that us versus them / othering kind of mindset. So just be aware of that. So your action item is to plan a short introduction circle activity for your first few classes. I told you it wasn't going to be super complicated. Strategy 5 is one that is not really when you plan to do, you just kind of do it. And that's what I call the repeat and connect. So basically, instead of just saying, hey, come on over here, you would say, hey, Johnny, come on over here. Basically, just use their name whenever possible. So if they ask you, Mr. Tarbit, can I go to the bathroom? Sure, Susie, just make sure you wash your hands or whatever. Like you give yourself those opportunities to use their name whenever possible. This is great if you're using a strategy like name tags or a seating chart to kind of help you learn them if you don't know them. And it's a really good way to reinforce them as a teacher. So here's your action item for that. I want you to make a conscious effort in the first few interactions. And honestly, like most interactions throughout the entire year. But really make sure you're using their names, repeating their names, giving them that connection to who they are as a person and the name that they use. All right, so I just went through those really quickly. So seating charts with pictures, using name tags, name games, direct introduction activities, and the repeat and connect method. So again, those are just 5 different strategies that you can use to learn student names, because let's be honest, we have a lot. And a little bonus strategy is just, if you don't know their name or if you make a mistake, own it. Just be like, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to learn so many student names right now, and I'm getting them a little bit confused. Is it okay if I don't know your name, will you help me? Like, literally just level with them. And most, like 9 times out of 10, the kids are like, oh yeah, that is a lot of names. Let me help you. With that being said, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of That Music Podcast. If you haven't left us a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, or a comment on YouTube, wherever you're listening, hey, subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. It would mean the world to us if you would, so that we can help grow the podcast, get it in front of more music teachers just like you. And as always, please feel free to reach out to me. I love being able to connect with music teachers from all over the world in this little bubble of the internet that I inhabit. And I would love to connect on Instagram at That Music Teacher, or you can send an email, hello at thatmusicteacher.com. But with that being said, I'm getting a little long-winded. And as always, thank you so much for making a difference in the lives of the students that you teach. And I'll see you next week right here on That Music Podcast.